We'll start with Ted Colton, Detroit News.
Hey, Jeff, when do you, I think you mentioned it the last couple of days, would you want like a dress rehearsal or something by Saturday's game? You kind of want to have your roster set by then?
I would say fairly close. I don't know that it's going to be 100%. If we're still making some decisions, that there might be some guys in the game. But if we know where we're at on Friday, we'll practice as a group Friday, go play the game Saturday, and get ready to go Monday.
What's the importance of that? You just want to get zoned in basically at that point, or what?
Yeah, and I think everybody's kind of in their roles and their responsibilities they're going to have during the season then, or to start the season, I should say. And I think it allows you to hit the ground running a little bit more, your first game against Tampa. So I think when you can get to it, the quicker you can get to it, probably in some cases the better, but a lot of times you can't for multiple reasons. One, the number of games, that we play, and two, you do need to make decisions and evaluate other people. So, if that's the way it works out, great. If we're still undecided a number of guys, and then we'll adjust a little bit different roster.
And one more, how important are guys like Hirose and Lashoff and Pick? I mean, and they've all had pretty good camps here too. How important are those guys in an organization?
Well, huge in different roles too. Like, first off, I think the organizational depth's extremely important. You got to have guys you can call up and can help you win NHL games. Certainly all the guys you mentioned can do that and have done that. And then there's also another role kind of in terms of leadership in Grand Rapids to help mentor young players. And when I got the job in Grand Rapids, I was lucky enough to have a great leadership group that I thought did an outstanding job, is kind of being Papa Bears in helping mold our young players and push them to be their very best. And certainly, Brian Lashoff has wore the C down there the last year or so, and he does an outstanding job of that. He's an excellent person. He's a guy that we feel super comfortable coming up to play an NHL game, but he also does an excellent job of leading down there. I've told him multiple times he's extraordinarily valuable to our organization, and I think he knows that. But any number of those guys are.
One more, and again, it's kind of segueing to those guys, but and you guys have all obviously played 82 game seasons a lot, obviously, but just the readjustment to going back to an 82 game season, knock on wood, this season. I mean, do you think that it's going to create issues such as probably, I don't know, maybe wear and tear on bodies and stuff like that? Or whatnot? I mean, you guys haven't played an 82 gamer the last couple go arounds.
Yeah, I think I'd ask me that later in the year, and hopefully we get there, and that's the case. I would say, the fact that the schedule was so condensed last year, it won't feel harder than that. No, there's no way. So, and then, there's also some quirks this year with being an Olympic year. It'll be different. So every year is a little bit different. I think ultimately, what we went through last season in terms of how condensed it was prepares us for anything that we're going to face.
Sounds good. Thanks for this, Jeff.
Next, with Ansar Khan, I'm live.
Yeah, Jeff. When Raymond was drafted, one of the things that Steve and Chris Draper talked a lot about was his hockey sense. Is that something that was very apparent to you as soon as he got into games? And what were some of the things that you liked in that regard that you were able to see how good his hockey sense was?
Yeah, and I guess just to make sure that people understand what that means, there's structure that we implement and play with, and every team does. But the reality is the game is extremely fluid, and hockey sense is a critical piece to success for an individual and as a team. They need to be able to make reads according to what's thrown at them that is not going to totally look like what's drawn on the board. And I think, and that's just, a lot of times from the defensive standpoint, there's also offensive hockey sense, knowing how to maximize your abilities. And I think Lucas so far has done a good job with that. I think both. I think he's done a good job of offensively having some deception, but also taking what's given. And I think defensively he's done a really good job with making reads in a lot of different situations, tracking, we had him on the PK because we feel like he's got enough hockey sense that as a young guy to go out and kill some penalties. And so, I definitely think that's a strength of his. He's got great inner drive, he appears to, and he's got really good hockey sense.
In a couple of games, he's played with two different lines, four different line mates. Is it good to kind of get him exposed to different players here early on?
Part of the evaluation process is to see how guys do in different situations with different lines. And I think that's an important part of it. We're also comparing guys. So you want to give guys chances to play with different people, but ultimately we'll see where it goes in the next few games. But again, I think it's you want to put him in position to accentuate his positives. And he's a guy who, I'm not looking necessarily for him to be a fourth line energy guy. He's going to be in some offensive roles, and we've put him in those roles. We've tried to play with players that can help accentuate his ability.
Thanks, Jeff.
Yep.
Next, we go to Max Boltman, The Athletic.
Hey, Jeff, I just wanted to ask you with Tyler, is his not playing yet to do with kind of the recovery timeline and return to play timeline, or is it from the back, or is it something else?
Well, I think it's everything. I think returning to play, coming off a major back surgery, there's lots that goes into that. Part of it is just getting your body ready, and he hasn't skated this hard in a lot of months, way more months than other people. So, I think part of it's just getting his body ready and getting to a spot where his body's ready to feel real comfortable to go out and be successful. So he'll practice again today, and we'll keep taking our time. And ultimately, our goal is to have him ready for game 1 against Tampa. And we'd love to have him in exhibition games that can help you feel your way into it. Lark's referred to the Ricky Bobby moment there in his first game back, and sometimes that's how it feels. And so, we'd love to get him in some games, but right now we're just making sure that we're progressing at the right speed.
And then Donovan Sabrango, I think, is a guy you mentioned toward the end of camp. What have you thought of him as the preseason has started here?
Well, I think he just had the one game, and I thought that in that game early he was fine, and I thought he got better as the game went along. I think he's got a lot of attributes outside of even physical attributes. Just his mental makeup is strong. He's a competitive person. He's tough in the terms of like blocking shots and doing those things. So he brings a lot of different elements that I think are important for a successful defenseman to have. So he'll get in some more games here. Hopefully, at least one here, and we'll see how he does.
He's a guy who kind of got an interesting path because of being able to play in the AHL at a really young age. And then I think now he's eligible to go there again this year. Like, how closely are you kind of watching how this goes for him as kind of like I don't know that the agreement or the rule with the CHL is going to change anytime soon, but just to see how that works, I guess.
Yeah, obviously that agreement, that's a bigger picture thing between the CHL and the NHL. So I don't know that, honestly, Max, I'm not watching it close from that perspective at all. There was obviously lots of outside things that happened that dictated that he played in the American League last year, and I believe he's able to play in the American League this year. And the argument of whether what's best for him or any other player is probably a different subject for a different time. I'm looking to see how he's progressing, and is he a guy who is going to be a Red Wing one day? Is he a guy who's going to be a call up at some point? We'll see. And he, all I can say is so far he's done a good job and he's impressed me.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
Next, go to Helene St. James, Detroit Free Press.
Jeff, it was only for about a blink of an eye last season because of COVID and whatnot, but Robbie Fabry, Philip Stina, and Bobby Ryan showed good chemistry there in camp, and I think they played together a game or two before everything went awry. Any temptation to look at them again as a unit, or are you seem to have liked Zadina with Larkin?
Well, I'm giving Zadina some opportunities with Larkin. I think some of that depends on the number of centers. I would like Robbie in our top 6. I'd like Suter probably in our top 6. I'd like Larkin in our top 6. And so they all three can't play center. And if Robbie doesn't play center, then I can't put that group together. So, will they be together at some point? I'm not sure. I think it was a small sample size. But they did play well together. So we'll see how it goes with the whole group. And, ultimately I got to figure out who's going to be healthy as we start to get into the year and then make decisions on that. I'm not by any stretch, glued to having Z in Larks play together. I think we'll see if they can keep building and developing a good chemistry, and we'll see.
Just to follow up on Tyler, you still are hoping to get him into at least one exhibition game, right? I mean, or
I think ultimately you'd love to do that, ultimately you'd love to have him play a few games, but he's in a spot where we're progressing him and we'll see. I'm not going to put a timeline on it. I'm not going to say that's something that's a must. Ultimately, he's got to be ready for game one against Tampa. And there's a lot of different ways you can get ready. And certainly some of it's playing in exhibition season. And I'd love for him to be able to do that, but we'll see how it progresses.
and is it mostly up to him now, like how he feels when he wakes up? Because you said he is cleared.
He's cleared. But there's, again, when you haven't played in a long time, your hips feel different. When you haven't played in a long time and you haven't battled like you were battling, your groins feel different. So it's up to all of us. Certainly he's got a huge voice in it. So does our medical staff, and so do I. Like I said, he'll practice today and we'll see where it goes.
Thanks.
All right, those are all the questions we had this morning. Thanks everyone for joining us.